the language of money and happiness is sometimes difficult to connect with how you speak to yourself. And if you can't speak to yourself about it, then how are you going to speak to somebody else about it? Especially if it's during a negotiation in which certain words are triggers for you or for the other person.
No, it makes sense to me and it resonates. Obviously, so much of the reasons why people do get divorced is because they have a hard time being on the same page as money. So for us to think we're going to walk into the negotiation room and click, we're already going to be back there and negotiating at a place of continuity, that's just not going to happen. We're going to be most likely in the same place as we were in our marriage, and you're coming to the table with two different kind of views on money. And now, especially if there's an inequality of earning, not maybe capacity, but of earnings, there's going to be one person that has been a high earner. Maybe there's one person who wasn't making as much money, and the person not making as much money is living in financial fear, and the person who is making the money doesn't want to part with their money. And so then you have like boom, boom, everyone's just like banging on heads, two different objectives. And it's hard to like come to a center spot. It's hard to come to a place of being able to look from a different perspective on that. But I do really believe, like what you said, it's about what is money bringing you? Like what does happy like make you, like I said, one person could be a giver and wants to be generous with their money. One person could want to more of pretentious and have lots of things. And maybe that's important to them. One person, potentially just wants to invest in having good experiences in life. And that's what's important. So enough to do whatever, someone could be a giver and say, I just want to be able to give away $100 a month, is different than somebody saying like, I just want to be able to go to dinner when I want to go to dinner and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about how much money I spend at the grocery store. I just want to buy what I want to need and I want to be able to put it in my cart and I want to check out and I want to go home. That's happiness for me. I want to eat what I want to eat and I just want to eat it. I don't want to have to think about the food going into the grocery cart. I mean, these are really common things that people are struggling with. And how am I going to pay my housing expense? How am I going to be able to buy out? I want to stay in the family home. How do I buy out the other individual? These are huge amounts of, like very small, minute tactical things that are going through people's minds. These are thoughts, right, of everybody going through divorce. And what I try to teach them is I get like all those things exist, but how do we look up higher? How do we look from that drone's view? And like you said, what are the small things that are going to bring you joy, in the bigger picture? And I try to get them back to say, is it the money or is it the relationships that you're creating and, around, what you're negotiating for? Because, if people have children, is it as important to stay in the family home as it is to be able to make sure you have a home where the heart is? Ask your kids, is it as important for me to stay in this home with you, or can we live somewhere else as long as we're all together? So try to get people thinking bigger about happiness, because sometimes if you put yourself in such a financial position where you can't go to the grocery store to buy what you want to buy because you've decided that staying in the family home was important. So you poured all your money into buying the other person out. And then next thing you know, like everything else is not easy.
Right.
There's nothing easy. You made that one big choice because you thought that's what was important. And now you've made difficulty everywhere else in your life because you stretched yourself too thin.